I saved my dad, Gomez, with this big lightning ball. That was really impressive to see. All the effects.
Ah! Electricity. Cool.
Hello, it's Caitlin Riley, and welcome back to the Wednesday Season 2 official WOCast. We've got an incredible guest list. I mean, where do I even start? The Pugsley Addams is here, that's right. I'll be chatting with Isaac Ordonez about his new powers, his bond with Eugene, and what it's like to keep a pet zombie. Mark Sutherland is here to discuss iconic looks and on-set secrets from the wardrobe of Wednesday. And we've got prosthetic artist Tristan Verslaus to talk us through all the monstrous looks from Season 2. We have a special guest in the studio today, the talented Isaac Ordonez, who brings Wednesday's electrifying younger brother, Pugsley Addams, to life. Isaac, welcome. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Of course. Now, I wanted to discuss Pugsley's new power this season. That looked like it was a lot of fun to play.
It was.
Did you do additional research, like shock yourself, or how did you get into that?
I looked into other characters with electrical powers. Stuff like Miles Morales, Spider-Man, Storm from X-Men.
Yes.
Emperor Palpatine, Star Wars.
Of course.
Kaminari from My Hero Academia. All these characters. Oh, and also Fern Armisen, who plays Uncle Fester.
Yes.
He showed me how he does it.
They had a top-notch electroshock therapist, Igor. He ran a gulag in Siberia. He really knew how to rattle the old cerebral cortex. Nobody sneaks up on me, kid.
I would say that so far, you're my favorite character that has the electricity power.
Really?
Yeah, just want to put that out there.
That's an honor.
Does having a power of Pugsley's own, do you think that gives him a newfound confidence? Do you think he's coming into his own a little bit?
I think with Season 1, with everything that happened to Gomez, he felt kind of helpless with everything that happened. But now that he has his own power, electricity, I think he's more confident in himself now.
When Pugsley gets to Nevermore, he is so desperate to make friends. Can you tell us about his relationship with his roommate, Eugene? It was really, really fun to see you guys play together and act together. What was it like working with Musa?
At first, Eugene's hesitant to be friends with Pugsley. But whether he liked it or not, he was dragged into the whole ordeal with Slurp.
Mm-hmm.
And Musa's great. We would talk a lot on set, and even off set, we play video games together. And
What kind of video games?
We played Fortnite, if I remember correctly.
It's kind of the perfect hang sash, I'd have to say.
Yeah.
What about honey? It's nature's perfect food. Antioxidant, antibacterial, low glycemic index. See? He likes it.
I think I'm gonna call him Slurp.
Now, Pugsley makes himself a new friend this season, Slurp. What was it like working with Owen Painter as Slurp?
Owen's like one of the nicest dudes you can meet, and I really respect his acting skills. I think he's a great actor. At first, it's always super cool to see characters in their costume for the first time, full costume. And strangely, him not being in full costume wasn't the weird part. Him being out of full costume was what was the weird part.
Right.
Him just seeing him as a normal dude.
Yeah.
That was what was weird.
Oh, it's
I can
it's
see
Slurp.
both your eyes.
Apparently, you bonded with Owen over metal music and playing guitar. Are you a metalhead?
Yeah.
Tell me everything.
Yeah, I'm a metalhead.
What are some of your favorite bands?
Right now, I really like Slipknot. I like Avenged Sevenfold. Bullet for My Valentine. And then, of course, Korn and whatnot.
Of course, Korn.
We're both guitarists, so...
Oh, no way. Did you guys play together?
No, we didn't get the chance to. I wish we did. Where we were staying was kind of far from each other. I didn't have a car at the time, so we couldn't drive by to his apartment.
Despite my attempts to exsanguinate, you're not completely bloodless.
Sis, what's up?
What's with the vampire coffin?
I used it to smuggle signal flares and gasoline. You know, for the forest fire?
You mean campfire?
Whatever, as long as something burns.
Now, in episode 3, Slurp causes chaos when you sneak him into Camp Jericho. Can you walk us through filming some of those sequences? All of the Camp Jericho stuff must have been so fun to film.
Yeah, so the scene where he eats Kruger's brain, whenever I'm in a scene with Musa, who plays Eugene,
Right.
and Evie, who plays Agnes, it's always fun.
Yeah.
So that scene was no exception. That was
Yeah.
a super fun scene to film. And then the scene where I saved my dad, Gomez, and hit Slurp with this big lightning ball, that was really impressive to see. All the effects and stunts. It was super cool.
So, are you going to invite me in so I can inspect your tent?
No. Eugene, just let one rip.
Yeah, it smells like someone died in there.
So if you get in trouble, remember the first rule of camping. Leave no trace, especially the bodies.
Good one, Mr. Adams.
We also see Pugsley's relationship with his family shift a lot this season, especially with Gomez. Tell us about working with Luis on the father-son energy. Did he give you any advice this season?
We would goof off in between shots, and he would tell me stories and give me acting pointers.
Tell me, what stories, what acting pointers?
Stories from all throughout his career. And the acting pointers, I do remember one day on his day off, he came to set and had like a little bit of crew, and we did some camera exercises.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it was really nice of him.
That's awesome. Now, what are some of your favorite memories from filming this season?
Any night shoot, really, because at night I'm more active at night. I'm a night person, and
Same.
night shoots usually tend to have full cast, which is always fun. I do remember they would give us coffee and Red Bulls, which was fun but chaotic.
Makes things easy.
Yeah.
And chaotic.
So a lot of people needed it. I mean, because usually like the times they were filming were like 10 to like 6 a.m.
Where do you want the next season to take Pugsley, do you think?
I have to be in the room with the writers to like give out suggestions.
Tell me, and then we'll tell them.
There's so much I could do.
I know. It's endless.
I do remember in like an interview before season 2 even started filming, they're like, what would you want for your character in the future? I was like, I think he should go to the school. I think he should be friends with the beekeeper. It'd be nice if you guys don't set up powers. And then, yeah, that happened. So I didn't know about Netflix, okay? I didn't know.
Well, thank you so much, Isaac. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
And also, there's a table up there where you can leave a gift for me.
What if I didn't get a gift?
What's with the bottle rockets?
Early warning system?
For what? What's Slurp doing here?
It's like you said, we couldn't leave him on his own.
So you brought him camping in the woods with all our classmates?
Relax. If he tries to escape, we'll know.
That's it. I'll bunk with some of the other guys. I'm not sleeping with a zombie.
Zombies don't sleep. Duh.
Thing, I need my questions for the next interview. Can you hand them to me, please? Okay, let's maybe not chuck them at me, buddy, okay? All right, thanks, man. Good job. I am delighted to now introduce the one and only Mark Sutherland. Mark, thank you for being here with us.
Thank you for having me. It's really nice to be here. Thank you.
So Wednesday typically had one very distinct look throughout all of the prior TV shows and movies that came before. I want to know, how did you modernize this look for her and expand on it while also keeping that iconic vibe from before?
It was about moving Wednesday into the world that we are in now and using, influences like high fashion, the high street, vintage, all of those things, and bringing those elements into Wednesday's wardrobe, but also keeping, the essence of the character always has to be there. It's trying not to lose that iconic Wednesday look that she's always had.
Welcome to Ophelia Hall. Not a hugger. Got it.
Please excuse Wednesday. She's allergic to color.
Oh, wow. What happens to you?
I break out into hives and then the flesh peels off my bones.
When you're, for lack of a better word, Adamsifying Wednesday's looks, you know, her Wednesday school uniform, for instance, was it simply just a matter of making everything black and white and gray, or were there other influences that you went along with?
We stick to the monochromatic palette for Wednesday always. It's always the black and white, the grays. But
never pink.
Never pink. But there might be. There might be. So what we do is we look at different ways of making those colors work. We use a lot of printing, like Jenna's uniform. Everything on Jenna's school uniform is hand printed. So wanted to highlight the stripes this season.
Wow.
So that would show a little bit more under. Has a new coat on and stuff like that. So what we want to do is we maybe look back at last season and see where we can progress, or we could elevate different elements of her costume. Like we do a lot of printing. We hand printed a lot of T-shirts that we designed for her. And then also, depending on what Wednesday has to do within the show, we have to think about textures, fabrics. You know, if there's a night shoot, we don't want her to disappear. So we would find something with a reflective element. We would maybe put a pair of pants on with the stripes, so we've got a hint of some white somewhere. So we're always thinking about how we can mix it up a bit, but also so long as we can showcase the whole Wednesday look.
We'll be talking to Colleen later in the series, and I know the two of you have worked very closely together in putting all of the looks together for the series. I want to know, what is it like working with her? Can you talk us through how you guys divide and conquer costume development?
Well, it's not so much divide and conquer, we collaborate so much. But I have to say, when you say divide, it made me think of something. When in the early stages of the process, Colleen was in New York, I was in London. Colleen was in the Bronx looking for things and costumes for Enid in vintage stores. I was in Camden Market looking for other things for Enid in Camden Market. And it was we were both there at the same time. So it's like pulling those things together, but we know each other pretty well. But we communicate a lot. It's with the world that we live in now. She can FaceTime me in Brooklyn. I can FaceTime her in Camden, and we can show each other where we're thinking and where we're going with each character.
I'm doomed. I have nothing to wear. And where's the top to my zebra striped bikini?
Hiding in shame.
Are you just gonna sit there and stare at that disgusting eyeball all day, or are you gonna help out your friend?
It's an overnight camping trip. How many outfits could you possibly need?
Well, there's the bus fit, and then the opening campfire, then the late night swim, and then there's the morning hike, and then the final jamboree, not to mention breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
Enid, I wanted to talk about as a character. She is so colorful. She's so extroverted, and that is reflected very much in her dress sense. How did you cultivate her look? Were there specific people or references to look at when developing her costumes? Where does the inspiration come from?
The inspiration for Enid was developed from Japanese street style. That was what we were thinking when we were doing some research. Interestingly enough, there's quite a bit of that look actually in Camden.
Is there really?
Places. Yeah, it's sort of, I think it's such a worldwide look now, but that's where that's what we were thinking when we headed into designing costumes for Enid.
Her costumes are incredible. Incredible. I wanted to also talk about Bianca as well this season. She's a very cool and collected character. She was definitely the it girl of season 1. How do you think her look has developed from season 1 to season 2?
She's still pretty cool. She's still the it girl. She's got a great sense of street style. With her casual looks, we experimented with the different techniques. Like there's a process called foiling, where you print a reflective element on top of the fabric. So it gives like a water effect.
Can you do that at home?
Yeah. Get your iron out. And then we did a lot of printing as well. So, we'd have like some denim jackets and trousers. So what we'd have a printing element on top of it, just to give her a different dimension. And also for her school uniform, which I think I really love her school uniform this season.
That was one of my favorite school uniforms.
Yeah, it's a bit more, I say a bit more relaxed. It's really still cool. She's got great pants, fabulous trainers. We wanted to swap out the shirt, so it's a bit more black and white. She wears a boy's tie. She wears a really cool blazer. We've got the new Siren Song Nexus that sits over the top. She has a bit more of an official capacity in this season because she is organising the gala with Dort and Morticia. So that gives her a bit more of an official appearance within the show. But yeah, she still looks pretty cool. She rocks.
You're not seriously asking me to siren song her?
Of course not. I'm ordering you.
You will never try and coerce me again.
I love the character Slurp. I wanted to talk to you about working with the prosthetics team with that costuming. I mean, what was that experience like and how did you pull that together?
It was a very step-by-step process with Tristan. I feel really lucky to be part of that process from the very beginning. It was, part of, with the prosthetics team, seeing how they develop, the skeleton that we had to put on top of the actor. Then how do we make his clothes look like rags, but they still have to stay on him. He still has to move as an actor. Also, Tim wanted Slurp to look more mummified when he came out of the ground. So we had to develop a way of breaking up his clothes, layering them up, stick them to the prosthetics. When we see him coming out the ground, it's quite epic. The collaboration together with the costume and the prosthetics was just great.
I want you to tell me, and I want you to be honest.
Yeah.
What is your favorite costume of season 2?
I think my favorite costume would be Morticia at Camp Jericho.
Ooh, that's a good one.
We have a whole episode where they go camping, of course, and the Addams family go with them. So there's such a great shot when Morticia and Gomez get out the car together. They just look so great together. I just love that. Morticia in the pith helmet with the veil, the sunglasses, and the parasol. That is, I love that costume.
Well, thank you so much for being here, Mark. I think that you're a genius, and that's all I have to say. And thank you for speaking with me.
It's been lovely talking to you, so thank you. And thank you for having me.
Hello, my pernicious prodigy. Don't you find the smell of fresh air positively nauseating?
To what do we owe this ghastly apparition?
The call went out for parent chaperones, and I spent my fair share of time under nature's canopy.
The concrete jungle doesn't count. What's she doing here? Her idea of communing with nature is deadheading her precious roses in the greenhouse.
I thought we'd make it a family affair. Pugsley and I can engage in some father and son bonding.
No thanks, Dad. I think I'm gonna stick with Eugene. Lurch, can you give me a hand with this?
My next guest on the official Wednesday WOCast is prosthetics marvel himself, Tristan Bruslaus. Tristan, thank you so much for being here with me today.
It's my pleasure.
Now, episode 3 opens up with Thing getting a manicure for his birthday. He's treating himself. We're seeing a lot more of Thing as a character this season. What was it like working with Victor?
Victor's fantastic. We worked together in season 1, and then coming into season 2, we obviously we knew the character, but we wanted to refine things a little bit with his prosthetics and everything that we do with him. But it was really good. Like he really knows what he's doing. He really knows how to bring Thing to life with the different expressions in the hand. So obviously we do our best to do that with the makeup too every day.
And so what does Victor have to wear as like a human man when being a prosthetic hand? What is he wearing? What is he doing?
So he has full makeup and prosthetics on his hands. So he comes to us in the makeup trailer in the morning. We put a what we call chroma key blue suit on him, which involves a sleeve as well that comes all the way to the wrist. And then we have different stumps, different Thing stumps, which have all been named.
What are the names of the stumps?
Well, we have the one that we have standing stump. Okay. We have lazy stump. We have collar, and we have under stump. And then this season, we also designed Robo Stump, which is a little one that has a little bit of movement on the top.
Can I just say that Robo Stump is an incredible name for a band? And if you ever get into music, I think it should be your band name, Tristan.
Absolutely,
gotta say.
absolutely.
It's just as like a little side hobby. Now, was it complex to sort of develop the prosthetic? What's that process?
I think that it was complex to create the whole character in a whole, as a whole sort of thing, to understand how it's going to work. Because I think we knew we wanted a human hand to sort of bring it to life. And then it was figuring out how the hand is, how the body is removed, if you know what I mean, and how that stump looks and how that interacts every day to make sure that it kind of has the right anatomy kind of thing and it looks sort of real enough. So we did a lot of tests early on with different types of stumps and color and that kind of stuff until Tim and Miles and Al and everyone was sort of happy with the final look.
Victor was talking to me about the Robo Stump, I guess, is what he was discussing. I wanted to talk about how that was developed because you're dealing with a prosthetic, but then you're also dealing with an electronic aspect as well.
In the first season, we didn't have the Robo Stump. We had the 4 other stumps. And each day, with sort of VFX and Victor and the director, we would figure out what stump that we need for that day's filming to cover the right types of shots, because the different stumps were for different angles and different positions of the hand. So if he's standing like this on the table, then we would have the collar stump. And if he was walking, we would have the lazy stump. So we have like a whole formula sort of worked out for Thing. Different stumps and that kind of stuff. So the Robo Stump came about as just advancing his character, really, trying to give more availability to shooting it with the director and with Victor bringing it to life, to have a little bit of movement on the top of the stump, because obviously he can move his hand, his fingers, but the actual stump was always sort of static. So we just gave him a little bit more, like a little joystick, so he could just add little subtle movements to it. So there was one scene where he kind of Thing nods a little bit. He gives like a very gentle nod.
And the stump is nodding, and Victor's controlling the joystick for the Robo Stump.
He does, yeah, he is. So he's got
Amazing.
like a little pack, like a little sort of battery pack with a little joystick in his left hand. So he's kind of like right-handed and then left-hand joystick. So it's fun.
Now, I wanted to touch on my favorite character from this season, which is Slurp.
Okay.
He looks absolutely hideous. Congratulations. It's the most incredible prosthetics I've ever seen. I wanted to talk about the inspiration behind Slurp's character design.
From the beginning, Slurp was a big character for us to do. So we were having conversations with Miles, Al, Tim. We were having conversations and doing designs for months and months before we started shooting. Everyone really wanted to create a very striking, iconic character, And so we had to kind of capture our sort of Wednesday essence of a zombie sort of thing that has the the traits and the characteristics and the visual look that sort of suits the show. And that was something that we did lots of designs and maquettes, and then finally we sort of landed on one that everyone agreed sort of captured that energy, which was an amazing challenge and one of my favorite parts of the show. So I'm glad you loved it.
I loved his prosthetics so much. For the whole time I'm watching it, I'm thinking like, well, that's a disgusting dead person. And then I realized, no, it's an actor in a prosthetic suit.
It is. No, Owen was fantastic as well. I mean, he was under layers and layers of prosthetics. I know they always wanted to have an actual person, if you know what I mean, in prosthetics to really bring the realism of the character to life. He had some VFX augmentation eyes and tongue and stuff. But yeah, he was really fun. He was pretty gross at the beginning, wasn't he? When he crawls out the grave.
He was disgusting. He was absolutely disgusting, Tristan, you sick man.
So, Slurp just came back on his own.
Yep. He was sitting in here when I came in this morning.
He looks different.
I think he's healing. Check out the inside of his skull. I think he's even starting to regrow a brain in there.
Incredible. It's like he's regenerating in hyperspeed.
I'm telling you, it's the mystery meat. The more he eats, the more alive he gets.
What are we gonna do if he runs away again?
He won't. He may be brainless, but he knows he's got a sweet setup here. Who else is gonna take care of him?
I wanted to ask, was there any creature or outcast power that was the most challenging to design?
Well, I actually think that the faceless were kind of hard because they don't have any face. So I had to figure out how they breathe and how to deal with that on set, you know. So
what was how were they breathing? What was that mechanism?
We created a mask that basically has a sort of a spacer between the silicone mask and their face, and then within that we created almost like a snorkel. So with there's holes on the top and holes underneath. So if you know those kind of those all face snorkels you have, and there's like a breathe hole on top. It's essentially like that basically. So they can wear it, but still get a good intake of air.
It's so hard to talk to you with my mouth not wide open because everything you're saying to me is crazy and so fascinating.
It is amazing how much goes into this job, you know, how many different processes, materials, like I say, talent, skills, you know, knowledge. Just to produce these characters. But that's what always fascinated me about doing this, is like there is so many elements to this job. You kind of have to be a bit of a chemist, a bit of an artist, a bit of a problem solver, you know. So.
Well, Tristan, thank you so much for speaking with me. Thank you for being here on the WOCast. And I bid thee adieu.
It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you for asking me.
I cannot wait to dive into the next episode. We're talking all things Madame Mischievous with Fred Armisen, a.k.a. Uncle Fester.
Because he is mysterious, I think that's what appeals to Wednesday.
Right.
Is that because he's off doing, I guess, crime?
And can you believe it? I'm going to be speaking to Joanna Lumley.
So it was just the best, the most wonderful, complete little character given to me to inhabit.
That's all coming up on the next episode of Wednesday's Season 2 Official WOCast. I'm Caitlin Riley. See you next time, my little vipers.